Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Day After podcast.
So it is the Mergatory episode.
Yeah,
Um, I gotta say, I was surprised it was only an hour long.
same. I was thinking that leading up to the episode, I was like, I haven't heard like them say it's a 2 hour. Like I feel like usually that's like part of their promotion is if it's 2 hours.
Yeah, an hour or an hour 30 minutes because this episode kind of like brushed by, in my
Yeah.
opinion, where because usually we need to see the tribes kind of like intermingle and stuff. I know the last two seasons they had the dreaded hourglass twist.
Yeah.
But this time around, they didn't have that. But I still wanted to see the teams kind of mingle, see what's up, and we got that. But it was very, very fast, and we still
Yeah.
got some great moments throughout that. But yeah, overall, I think this was a fun merge episode. It's a little sad to see Ellie go so soon.
Yeah, I was really hoping Janine played the idol on her so that at least she made it to the jury. I think she would have then been out
Yeah,
next, like right away. But
that's
I was definitely hoping that she could have at least made it to the jury.
also I gotta say. This is the We have not had a male go out at the Mergatory spot, which I'm like, come on.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say right now, we got Sydney, Lydia, and Ellie. If there was a captain season with the people who go out here at the Mergatory area, I mean, so far those would be three great people to
Yeah,
be leading a captain season.
yeah. I'm like, come on. I feel bad. That's kind
Yeah.
of the thing. Well, I mean, I feel bad about the Mergatory twist. I think it's a good thing for Modern Survivor,
Yeah.
but it's like one of the things where it would suck to have that it sucked to like have to be eliminated at that spot, but I think it makes for cool like entertainment. It's like, okay, you have to like earn your spot in the finale.
Yeah,
Or
definitely.
not finale, merge.
Yeah, I do think that that was one of the good twists that got introduced in this new era. It's just it was around that hourglass twist, so it became like a negative thing right off the
Yeah,
bat. But the Mergatory itself wasn't the negative; it was the hourglass. They took that out.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I think it is a beneficial like thing. But this episode was I gotta say terrible gameplay from almost everyone in it, but super fun to watch.
yeah. There was no clear cut like someone that was kind of like steering the ship, except maybe Owen, but that was only because he was getting a rundown of all the advantages he knew about.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. But even that, like, it just seemed like at every turn, someone was telling someone about an advantage or idol that their tribe has.
Or
Um,
Gabler, it just
yeah, basically blowing up the entire Baka tribe. The Baka tribe is I don't know. It seemed like it really made them now in a very terrible spot moving forward, but by how Gabler played this. Even though he
yeah,
gets the vote correct, like technically he is the mastermind in some regards to Ellie's elimination here. It is not good gameplay for like as a whole from the tribe.
yeah. I mean, like, here's the thing. I feel like with Gabler, I know I've talked about Cody being a wild card, but we've also talked about Gabler being a wild card, and I feel Gabler's more of a wild card in the sense of like sometimes I don't he doesn't maybe he doesn't think about long term. Short term, yes, it kind of makes sense to get rid of Ellie. Long term wise, I don't know. I feel like because Ellie was very adamant about getting rid of Gabler, but when it's the merge, sometimes you have to put all that stuff aside, at least for a few votes. But Gabler's like, nah, Ellie went through my bag, and so did Janine. They're bad.
Yeah, well, they didn't even bring up Janine. Janine
Yeah,
got off scot
exactly.
free. She did not have to even worry
Well,
about it, even though she's the one that did
I think
it.
the thing is, it's like because Janine was immune, there was no reason to really bring up her name at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they have never really brought up her name as searching through the bag. For some reason,
No.
they've only been on Ellie is the one who did it. And honestly, this gives me kind of Sydney vibes from 41 is the pre-merge. It was like a lot of like big center focus on this one character and Sydney or Ellie. But then we kind of have some in the back workings about kind of, like, ooh, I don't know if I trust this person. And then
Yeah.
immediately, right when he gets the merge, it's like, okay, let's just have like that big blowout happen right then.
I think
Um,
if we're talking story wise, because I feel like they did explain her elimination pretty. I feel like it
yeah,
fits the narrative because yeah, it's just the vote or the immunity for one tribal council. It played out in a different way though. It wasn't necessarily used, but it's because they went to see the rules and stuff. Janine and Ellie were like trying to see what the rules and stuff and the specifics was, led to Ellie's elimination. So it did play a role in
yeah,
a sense, just not, it didn't have the payoff that we expected.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. The some other terrible gameplay from let's see, Ryan. Ryan,
Ryan, no, no.
he he
What make
tried.
this the final seven? But
Yeah, yeah, that's a great idea, Ryan. We won the first rewards with each other, and let's just immediately say that's final seven. That's a great idea.
I mean, it's like, here's the thing too. I know he's a free agent in the sense where he's not too keen on staying with Coco, but it's like I feel like that wasn't the right time. Like, I know last season with 42, there was kind of like a beachside kind of alliance that just kind of like formed together.
Yeah,
Um, and then
yeah, but
that kind of like,
at least that was like they were like, hey, I want to work with these kind of people, not just oh, these are the people in my vicinity. Let's work together.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. It was like, come on, Ryan. I will say I liked his Spider-Man thing in the challenge. It
Yeah,
was,
he did do a good job in the challenge.
yeah,
He definitely tried to carry that tribe's weights quite a bit.
I will, it's just, first I was like, what the hell is going on? Because no one's ever kind of like hung upside down before. They've used their bodies as ladders before, but I don't think, no, never specifically in that manner.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's pretty much all Ryan's good at in Survivor, I'd say, is challenges, and sometimes even that he's gasses himself out and is not good in challenges.
Uh, yeah. I mean, when they did say that he was on the bottom, I was like, okay, maybe this is the redemption arc and stuff because we're still trying to see who wins this thing in the end.
Hmm.
And I was like, all right, maybe this is where like Ryan's like kind of like story comes through, but then he made that move, and I'm not quite sure if that's like the thing that I don't know if it's a rough couple episodes, but maybe he can pull it around or something. You don't know, but
Uh,
yeah, I saw by your face. It's
yeah,
not likely, but
it's pretty hard. I'd say after having these kind of two episodes, they would have tried to hide how dumb they're making Ryan look with these kind of
yeah,
things. They would have hid the stuff if he was the winner. Um, so like his best case scenario is a third place zero vote finalist. I don't even think that's going to be his eventual outcome. I do think he's probably going to be like second or third jury member.
I can see that. Maybe it really. That's the thing with this episode. We didn't really get like I wouldn't say a clear cut on where the numbers are, just where they kind of. It was definitely more of a voting blocks episode, or at least that's what I got out of it.
Mhm.
Because there was talks of like Vessi and Baca working together and getting rid of Coco. In fact, that was like something Ellie was heavily campaigning for because they didn't want, well, because Ellie didn't want to go home.
Yeah.
And on paper, it wasn't a bad idea, just continue getting rid of Coco. Um, and then like, there was that moment where Noelle was telling it was either Ellie or Janine, because they both know about the bead hat.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
like
They were
they
telling
knew that.
Ellie.
Yeah. And so like it was like, oh, this could be a thing where they blindside Cody, because like
Mhm.
it's that little information that Noelle doesn't know, but that would be a keen idea to get rid of Cody without him knowing because of the idol hat.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. It was something that was definitely playable, because at least Janine knows that now. And Janine is kind of on the bottom of the situation. She does have an idol.
Mhm.
She has her vote back.
Yeah. Yeah, the good thing
So
of her not playing her idol on Ellie here is she could play it then next tribal council if it doesn't seem like she's getting looped back into the situation.
yeah,
Um so there is some benefits to I guess not using the idol on Ellie, but also in Janine's position, you really want your closest ally to at least make a jury phase.
yeah,
It sucks when you're like she would have gotten a guaranteed vote from Ellie if she made it to the end, and now she
yeah.
doesn't have that. So
I don't know. It's always tough, because we've seen it time and time again where yes, it can get you one more vote, but your time is still limited. I mean,
mhm.
whatever can get you further in the game, even if it's by like a couple spots, or just one, because the game is constantly changing. And with the chaos of the merge, and like, because I feel like we didn't get any like core alliance or anything. We got a voting block,
Mhm.
or at least that's what I gathered from it. So like, yeah, I do feel like Janine should have played her idol for Ellie. Um, it's funny, I accidentally went on Facebook, um, and then someone was like, I all I saw was Janine and Idol, and then I immediately turned on. I'm like, oh shit, and I was like, oh shit. I think one, I thought that the blue tribe was going to lose, or
Mhm.
the blue team was going to lose, and I was like, oh shit, because Janine was on that team, and then I was like, okay, the target wasn't Ellie, because I was like, all right, she's going to play her idol, but she didn't. So like, good on me for not reading the whole thing, and being aware, like, oh, this is a spoiler. I don't know. I feel like it's something where I definitely would have expected her to play it on Ellie, but she didn't, because like it did seem pretty clear cut, just like how people were talking everything. I guess maybe Janine was going on the fact that it was Gabler. Now they know how much of a wild card Gabler is, but the other tribe mates not so much, even though he just blurted it out
Yeah.
without any thinking it through.
Everyone knows what Gabler's game is after this episode.
Yeah,
Everyone saw how Gabler has chosen to play Survivor.
yeah. He no repercussions for
Yeah.
or like
Would you consider this season so far to be a modern Gabon?
no.
No. Can you explain? Because from in my perspective, this is a season with a lot of fun players, just someone who's a lot of people who are polarizing in certain aspects, but there's just a lot of chaotic gameplay. It seems like people can never get on the same page about a lot of things. There's a lot of
Thing is, I
just
feel like when you describe it like that, maybe, but at the same time, it's like we need to see the whole picture before we can really judge it. I do feel like because four people did get votes, but that's also because merged. Also, a lot of people were told different things. Um, and I feel like, it's something where it's kind of too early to tell. There have been, some fun, I would say, strategy and like gameplay that we have seen throughout it. Whereas Gabon, not too much, at least in the pre-merged. But I will have to like see moving forward. I don't. Also, I like Gabon,
yeah.
so I know it's
Yeah,
not. I'll admit, not in my top 20, but it is something where I'm like, yeah, this is enjoyable.
yeah. Okay, so if Gabler wins the season, can we then say that this is a Gabon, the modern Gabon?
No, because you can't compare Bob to Gabler. That's
but
like apples and oranges of old people, both smart in their own respective field. However, personality wise, you got a metalhead surgeon and then a teacher all the way up from Maine, Bill Nye the Science Guy.
yeah, of course they're different people, but
Very,
I think it's the modern Gabon. I'm not saying that it is Gabon. I'm
I
saying
know.
that it's if a new person a survivor were to watch the season, I think that they're very likely to, as they move forward with watching Survivor, look at this as in a similar light to how maybe someone who first started watching Gabon would feel about Gabon.
Uh, I feel there's a because I do enjoy the bone. I know there's a negative is it connotation?
Yeah. Well, people have the negative connotation because it really depends on how you like the characters. Like, I think the
Yeah.
people on the season, like, some people love watching the hot mess that takes place. Like, but I am a huge fan of strategy. I do enjoy it. So I know some people are like they love this episode. I've been hearing people say that this is a 10 out of 10 Survivor episode. I wouldn't say that because for me, it was just it lacked strategy for me.
It was a very I wouldn't say I wouldn't even say chaotic. It was a mess a little messy. And I
this
just
was a
wanted to
very
see
messy episode.
it could have been worse.
Yeah.
If there was like four or more than four people, if there was like five people, a misplayed aisle and stuff like that, maybe so.
I mean, it's
But
been a while since we've gotten four different people getting votes at tribal.
I could have sworn it was either
I mean, like specifically at the merge, I think. I feel like normally they still try to do a 2 or 3 person votes.
yeah. Then again, Owen got a random vote,
Yeah, from Carla.
which that is actually very surprising because it's like Carla wasn't in on anything. Then again,
Yeah,
it's like new tribe dynamics, and I feel like that's the thing we kind of lacked this episode was where do the chips lie? Because Carla was rather silent this episode.
yeah.
Um, it's like where do the chips lie within the merged tribe? Well, mergatory now merged. Um, and I think obviously we'll know that going forward, but sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Carla was silent, but she did get a pretty bad injury during the challenge.
Yeah,
Blood coming from her hands.
it's all good. I mean, it was a minor thing, and thankfully, she didn't get pulled or
Yeah.
they didn't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah,
Which
I thought for sure we were going to see afterwards them like having to fix her up and be like, "Oh, I don't know if you can do this. You know what? Let's just wrap this up. You're fine." I,
yeah, I don't know. I feel
I think if we had a 2 hour episode, I think we probably would have got to that scene.
yeah. Um, and I think that's just the thing. We just didn't have because we had a random 1 hour and 30-minute episode. The premiere spent a lot of time getting to know people,
Yeah.
which I was like, all right, it's a little wee bit much. I feel like though that extra third, even if it was an extra 30 minutes, would have benefited this episode more so than the second episode of the season. Even though
Yeah,
what we saw from that second episode was pretty cool.
yeah, it's one of these weird things because I really liked that they gave a lot of time for that building of all the different players kind of really get into it. But I do feel like the season as a whole is taking its time to build in steam. Like it's like even though I like those episodes, I think I just liked them because they were longer. We got just more Survivor, so inherently I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's cool. I like those episodes, but like um, I think it's just because of the time thing. So I mean, I just would have liked just overall an extra 30 minutes here. Like, I think
Yeah,
the merge, there's just too much crazy things happening to just have it be one episode. Like, even though technically this is the mergatory, and you can say Ellie didn't make the merge, she made the merge for all I care. I don't care what
I know.
anyone says.
I feel
Um,
it's one of those things with Mergatory. It's a rather new thing, so it's like that designated spot moving forward.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, she made it past the pre-merge thing,
yeah,
at least.
yeah.
Or I don't know. We'll talk
I
about that a little bit later because I do kind of want to, without giving too much away, talk without giving too much away for our audience. Like there is something about her specifically I want to talk to you about. Nothing to
mhm,
do with the episode or whatnot or this episode.
mhm.
But yeah, uh, that little side note away. Um, I don't know. She was someone where because she got a lot of screen time, it did feel like, oh damn, I really want to see more of her. Because I feel like I, aside from Tori, because I felt like Ellie got a lot more screen time.
She did. She had 28 confessionals in 6 episodes.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's
that's
averaging like almost
that
five an episode
yeah,
or
four
four,
point six seven.
4.6. Yeah. If you
Yeah,
round up like five.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. I feel like it's sad to see her go, to be honest.
Mhm.
Obviously, I wasn't like rooting for her. I had the PTS. In fact, she was number 11 on my list of like where I thought she would go out. So not too far away.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, I thought she was going to make it a little bit further, not be this mergatory boot.
Yeah, I thought she was at least making it to the jury phase. So honestly,
Actually,
seeing her go
funny
out here
enough,
was crazy.
you know who I had at 13?
Who?
Janine.
Janine. Oh, see, if it was different people going, who knows? Maybe she goes out without with a idol in her pocket.
Yeah. Um, which going into this episode, because I glanced at something on Facebook, it was like, oh, wait, yeah. It also
Yeah.
didn't help that last night I was doing a scavenger hunt and they were like, post all the things to Facebook. And I'm like, okay, I will, but like, thankfully, that's not what it came from. But like, I was kind of like, playing a little risky last night when it came to spoilers.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Fun fact about Janine, she had a very slow start to the season, but now she's one of the top people for confessional counts.
really?
She's actually tied with Sammy right now for confessionals.
What is the let's go top five.
Okay, so we still have Cody obviously at number one, followed by Jesse, followed by Carla, followed by Gabler, and then we got Sammy and Janine tied at 18.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I feel like Janine could be if it's another underdog story, I would say it's a little bit harder this time around.
Mhm.
Um, because
It,
of I think more people are aware of the underdog because the last two
yeah,
seasons we had underdog winners.
yeah.
So people
If
might be
we get
aware.
next episode her talking about how she's got to now play this game so much harder without her ally, and
I almost
she's
said
got to
Emily.
turn this game around, and then she flips the vote around herself. I think we might see, I could see Janine getting that kind of Erica edit and just like pre-merge not really a big deal, but then the merge happens and she has to make the sudden switch to start playing the winners game.
Which is kind of crazy because regardless of the fact, even though Baca went to Tribal Council the least, just by one, but still, they still
Mhm.
got a lot of content.
Yeah,
Um, a lot of it was soaked up by like I would say Ellie and Gabler. And Janine was kind of like focused on least because Owen had a lot of things to say about things going on, and Sammy is kind of this sleeper threat in some
yeah.
regards. Not
Sammy
like
seems to
your
be the only one
average
who
sleeper
actually.
threat.
Sammy's the only one on the tribe who knew everything that was going on.
Yeah.
Like like he was able to like tell us exactly like what's happening on the tribe. Which everyone else had their own like I think this is what's happening, but Sammy was like, no, this is what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. He is definitely a smart cookie. Definitely I underestimated him. I think we all kind of did because he came out with BD energy. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna be the youngest winner ever, and like we didn't get to see the we didn't get to see the Sammy that is here right now in like preseason, or at least in my opinion. He
Mhm.
never came across as like, being this subtle of a player.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely still has some cocky energy to him when he talks. Like you can definitely tell that he does think that he's playing a good game. Like you can definitely tell he's still
Still to be
yeah,
decided.
he still has some cocky energy to him. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that that's like just like not there, and he's completely grounded about
Yeah,
all
but
of this.
I guess preseason, we never really saw that groundedness too much
Yeah,
shine through.
yeah.
So I guess, like, I don't know. Um, if we want to talk about where I wouldn't say everyone lies because that was kind of like the big question after this episode is like, where do people lie?
Mhm.
Um, because like other than like what we talked about, I don't think there's too much else.
Yeah,
Uh,
this was a merge vote that didn't pave the path for next tribal. More so, they decided to just take out Ellie because it seemed like Baka imploded on itself because of Gabler,
yeah,
and so then everyone was like, Ellie, okay, let's get out Ellie.
I mean, sometimes it's that kind of like vote where it's like, all right. I mean, especially if her name's being thrown around for being sneaky.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like I said, it's unfortunate. I feel like, but I think that's what makes it kind of a great elimination. It's because we didn't really see it coming
Mhm.
in a sense. Um, but yeah, I'd say moving forward, like it's hard to say where people stand. But if we're going off of like what we're kind of seeing, I definitely think we'll see more of it.
Yeah,
Um,
I still see Catherine Newton when I see
I see it a
Cassidy.
little bit. I'm seeing more of obviously Cassidy as her own person.
Yeah,
But you know what I mean.
yeah.
We're seeing a little bit more of her. I don't know. I still feel like Jesse is like a front runner for kind of being a winner.
Mhm.
Same with Carla.
Yeah, I think Jesse is getting what we would consider a traditional winner's edit right now.
Yeah,
The reason I'm saying traditional is that this winner edit hasn't happened in a while now. Because it's
yeah,
someone who gets clearly a lot of time pre-merge as I'm building my relationships with people. I'm clearly being constantly shown all the time. Here's my awesome story that would totally be great to tell at the final
yeah,
jury. He's got great strategic, great personal content. He's got all this great stuff. Like it seems like wow, that's perfect winners material,
yeah.
but we don't do that now in Modern Survivor.
I don't know. I feel like kind of like with Ellie going home this episode, there could always be that subversion of expectations where it's like because we know that they know
Mhm.
that we know. It's always like that game of like,
Yeah,
the editor's trying to outwit not the
yeah,
average. Because like I don't think like the average contest or the average viewer goes as deep into it. But
mhm.
because, us, other podcasts that do survivor stuff, uh, they go into deep dive and analyze and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I don't think obviously the editors are catering to us, but like in the sense of like, they know that we know their stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It would be interesting if they did a curveball this season. It's like, here's back to our traditional winners, and that we can still do this when we want.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. I feel like no clear-cut winner has been decided yet.
Yeah.
I feel like obviously there's still some favorites. Just looking at my list, and we kind of said this last episode, I feel like I have two people that may have a winner at it. It's just that the people on your side have a lot more. To those who don't know, we're talking about our draft,
Yeah.
our fantasy survivor of this season. And for me, that's Owen and Noel. I can kind of see them, but they're not
Yeah.
front runners in my
Even
opinion.
Noelle is like, I just can't see the world where they let her get to the ends. Like,
Yeah,
as you know, her story is literally there on her leg. Like if she gets the end, she gets the votes. Like
yeah,
it's so hard to like actually beat her in the final tribal. So it's one of those things where it's like I think she's going to get picked off. I also I don't know. I haven't been getting the a good story from Noelle. Like they've been focusing a lot on her injury and all that stuff. But
yeah.
I wouldn't consider that a survivor like winner story.
I wouldn't, I don't know. Here's the th uh, here's the thing. We don't know with this merge where things are going to lie because like definitely this is where, as I think it was Janine who said it this episode, it's like this is where the game of Survivor begins.
Mhm,
Um, because like this is where they're spending the next 13 days playing the game.
mhm,
And it's like obviously more people and a lot crazier gameplay challenges, advantages, like the one that's hidden underneath the shelter
mhm,
that we saw in the next time on Survivor episode.
mhm.
Dwight knows about it, and he was talking, I forget with whom. Um, like this is where a lot of people get excited for, because like, oh, okay, this is where people are butting heads and stuff, and like this is where a lot of big gameplay happens. Because there's nowhere to hide with six, but with the numbers and seeing how they lie and stuff, it can lead to like some entertaining TV in the sense of like, oh, this and these people are out, or like there's a
Mhm.
lot of moving parts that makes it a bit more complex.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Dwight, he's the only person on this episode to not get a confessional,
Uh,
which is immediately, I think, a red flag for him as a winner because winners always have confessionals at the merge. Like
yeah,
they have to explain what's going on and what they're going to do moving forwards. Um, which is unfortunate. I was super high on Dwight at one
same.
point, and then I got super low on him right before the season. Like I got cold feet basically, and I think my cold feet ended up being warranted.
Yeah, I mean, like preseason when we're hearing people talk and stuff, and sometimes the reverse happened to me with Shan, where I was like, all right, oh, Shan's kind of cool. But then like when I saw her more in like the preseason stuff, so wait, I actually really think that she has the possibility to win. Granted, her paranoia got the best of her, but like her being like such a pivotal part of that season, like
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I will say it's funny. My number one picks for the past two seasons have gone out at 8 and 9 or so, like that kind of area.
Mm-hmm.
So fingers crossed Owen makes it a wee bit further, but
That would be hilarious if he goes out in the same spots. I really do think that that could be a spot that he goes out in.
no, I do think so. I mean, like I said, moving forward, it's hard to say where the chips lie. He does know a lot of where some of the pieces are. Admittedly, Carla still hasn't revealed where her idol to pretty much anyone. So like she is someone where she's smart in the sense she's playing close to her chest. I feel like if people start talking about beads, then that might come up, and that could lead to, I don't want to say a downfall of Carla, but it's an obstacle for her
Hmm.
because I don't know. They were thinking of like targeting Coco people, but at the same time they didn't follow through with that. So I feel like this is a very open game right now. And because like the three people that have him is Cody, who is a bit of a wild card, but he has the skills like charisma and stuff where
Yeah.
I feel like he's not really that big of a obvious threat, but apart from having, the idol himself.
Hmm.
To Carla, who's, as far as we can see, has been kind of low key, at least at the very first stage of this merge or mergatory.
Yeah.
And then it's Janine, who's on the bottom. And I feel like only on the bottom in the sense where her closest ally went, and probably is not too keen to keep Gabler around because, you know, that was kind of the thing. And even at the end, it was like Ellie going back was like, "Yeah, you can't really trust Gabler. This is what happens when you trust Gabler." And he's like, "Feelings mutual."
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
back
like,
at
"Ooh,
ya.
back at you." Like, yeah, I mean that led for a fun thing because the sass
Yeah.
on both ends.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, people clearly know Gabler is not great. Sammy literally says Gabler's a effing idiot at one point.
I also got to say, I think part of the reason why Sammy is also coming around on me as well, he kind of reminds me of Channing Tatum a little bit.
Uh-huh.
It's
Channing.
mostly the voice
Yeah.
and speech pattern.
Uh-huh.
It's similar to Channing Tatum, and I think Channing Tatum was hilarious. So like,
Yeah.
I don't
I,
know. It's one of those small things where it's like, oh yeah, it reminds me of an actor I like. So
Yeah, I like that Sammy really tried to let people know that he's older by going BYOB when they came. Like he wanted to let everyone know right away, I'm not a teenager. I'm 22, BYOB.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I feel I don't know. It's hard to say who a winner pick is because we've talked about Sammy a lot. Do we think he could possibly be a winner?
I don't. I think he's the runner up of the season.
I feel he is definitely going to get it far. I wouldn't count him out yet.
Mhm.
That's my thing because he is a different breed of sleeper threat, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do have a theory that I've kind of crafted right now. So remember way back at the end of season 42,
Yes.
they gave us that promo for season 43.
Yeah.
Apparently, that came out while they were still filming that season 43. Like they created it like halfway through the game.
Makes
And
sense.
remember, Carla gets edited to be a villain, and we have now multiple people in like after they've been voted out have basically come out and said like, I thought they were gonna edit Carla to be like this big villain. She like made this big move, betrayed me, and like had this all this like negative things to say about like how they thought Carla was going to be perceived on the season. Um,
Yeah. I mean, like,
and we're
because
not
we
getting
haven't
that.
seen that line either.
Yeah,
I
so
would have to rewatch to see if the buff's the same, but
that
that's
was
always
that was an episode you could tell she was like just fresh on the beach when it happened. So I really do have a feeling that she could win the season and they just didn't know when they gave us that content.
yeah.
Because
I
that was
mean,
a good like that was a good quote. That was the quote the
yeah.
whole thing was based around.
That's what a lot of that was the final thing that was said. And that's what was
Yeah.
like, ooh, I really like this character going in.
Yeah.
Um,
And we haven't gotten
because
that. We've gotten like clearly she knows what's going on. All we're constantly hearing from Carla. Like
yeah,
even this episode, which was her quietest episode, maybe like we still had like she still had like two or three confessionals still. Like it's not like she was just completely like not there.
yeah. It really is I because I do think she definitely has a lot of good winner stock. Um, especially with how at least in the first couple episodes misrepre or honestly, it was like really one episode where we didn't hear from Coco, and there was an episode where we really didn't hear from Vessi.
Mhm.
So I digress. But I don't know, like especially the other tribes kind of like teaming up against it. It could make for a really good winner story. Um, yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's like I say, it's we're just analyzing at this point. I do feel like if I were to choose like let's say a top three in no particular order, I definitely think Carla is up there. I
Mhm.
think Jesse is up there.
Agreed.
And then I say no particular order, and then obviously I'm thinking of a third option. Uh, just because I'm like really thinking on who's left and who has a easier way. Um, not not Owen, unfortunately. Uh, I don't know. Honestly, I do think Sammy could be the sleeper threat.
Mhm.
Just talking about it and just kind of like seeing how like subtly he's playing. Yeah, he has that BD energy, but I feel like that's part of the thing. Kind of like how Cody, like he kind of talks like this real fast and like I'm whipping on my ass.
Mhm.
Um, and so you don't expect him to be like really, really good at this game, at least in that point. You know, Sammy's doing something different, but more of a like broy kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I would actually, for my third one, pick Cody. I actually think
I
that Cody has some great upside, at least what we've been given in the edits.
Yeah,
It's not always the case. I'm not even saying that just because he has the most confessionals. I actually think he has a lot of confessionals that are like just generally good for like a winner. Like he's clearly being shown every time they can.
yeah.
He's you know
I feel like he's like he would be number four on my list. But only thing is like he's such a really big personality
yeah.
that sometimes that draws attention.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, they've also just given him a lot of personal content. Like the early episodes, like they made you really like almost like feel and care for this guy, even though
Yeah,
he's like jumping off of rocks and everything like that. They're not just trying to show him as this big character. They tried to give him
no,
like something as well, which I think he was probably one of the ones who went out there without a crazy backstory, but he ended up kind of
having one.
having one. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
I
it's
I feel
definitely yeah.
yeah yeah. Uh, no, he's someone where no, because I've come around on Cody. I wouldn't want to align with the man.
Yeah.
Uh, but I feel like he is kind of like in a similar boat with Jesse in the sense of like he's like a crowd favorite that kind of goes off near I'd say seven and up, seven to like that five range.
Hmm.
Just because he's a very likable person and stuff like that, a favorite.
Hmm.
Um, at least like with the edit how they are right now. Because I don't clearly he's not a pre-merge, and I
Yeah.
don't think he's going home anytime soon.
Yeah.
At least based on what we were given. That idol Janine might play some stuff, or hey, yeah, um, but wait, didn't you have beats? Ah, uh,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
but
I
we'll
I
see.
also love that he went to the beach and basically like told us like, yeah, everyone's trying to say that they're like, oh, I'm so glad I gotta finally meet you and all this stuff, and he's like, yeah, that's not
You're full
what's
of shit.
happening. Yeah.
I mean, there's always this thing, and I feel like in the beginning of the season, I don't think it's fully people full of shit. It's just the excitement of making the milestone. Because
Mhm.
like I know like if I ever go on Survivor, um, you know, I'm gonna be stoked that I'm there first. Like, wow, this is like really happening and
Mhm.
stuff. And I'm gonna be excited and happy. And like I know like that blood's gonna be on the floor eventually.
Mhm.
Um, but at the same time, it's like soaking in like the good parts, at least for the first bit, because obviously people were talking strategy. People were kind of like knowing what advantages were like around like Owen because he let not Ellie, Noelle kind of like get that because she was in danger, and who else was there? wasn't Geo. Was it James?
I
I
don't
think.
remember.
Um, but I know, like, the only reason I really remember too is because one, oh, it's the winner pick, and two, because
Mhm.
it kind of came up here. It was like, oh, so what did you end up getting? Um,
Mhm.
so like there was a little bit of that, but mostly it's like, soaking in the facts like we made it to a different stage of the game. But like, me watching it and I shared the sentiment with Cody. It was like, yeah, we're all smiles and stuff now, but the blood and stuff is gone. The daggers are coming.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that's just another reason why I think it's a good thing to see is that clearly Cody is not going to just like he knows what's going on.
Yeah,
Like it was a clear like I feel like every survivor knows that that's what's the case, but they just choose not to say it because they really want to try to make those bonds and everything. And he still went off and made the bonds, but he let us know like
except
that's
for
not
Gabler.
what's
He's like, no,
yeah.
Ellie.
Oh, Gabler. Gabler might be one of the worst Survivor players we've had. Not. I mean, he's great TV. Like, don't get me wrong, but he is such a bad player.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. Sorry, Mike Gabler, if you watch this, but they're not editing you in the best light.
Yeah, they gave you one episode where after they basically shit on you that you then like were like actually I know what I'm doing, and then that's the only time they did that for you.
Watch me go on. One of us goes on like a fans versus favorites or something like that. Gabler is there,
Oh man.
and then it's like Joe talked bad about me on his podcast.
I secretly hope that I go on before this podcast gets seen by a lot of people.
You know, it's a possible. Well, I mean, like, because for those that don't know, hold on, I do need to check time. All right,
Yeah.
I think we can go on for another like 5 minutes.
Okay.
For those who don't know, Joe commented on Rob has a podcast like video of like a bold prediction he had, and Rob replied. So like I feel like we are getting. If you've gotten right, we probably would have been covered. Our channel would have blew up, but
Yeah, I know.
it's something
I
where
was ready. I was like, if I was right, I would have been right on his know-it-alls and been like, "Hey, Rob,
yeah, but at least it's not that he knows who we are, obviously, because like people get a lot of comments, or he gets a lot. Maybe he
yeah,
was interested and took a gander. We don't know. Some Survivor contestants know who you are. Uh, obviously, Nasir does.
we got Zach.
Victoria. Yeah. So Whataburger knows.
What a burger, Zach! What a
Whataburger.
burger! Oh my God, Zach! If you are listening to this right now, you need to create a collab with Whataburger. I think that is right in your alley. I think you would be great at it.
There's so many like brand deals that have come out of Survivor. Tyson with peanut butter and pickleball. Though he
Yeah,
had nothing that really
Krishma and Applebee's.
Chrisman Applebee's. Um, Colby in Texas. Just
Yeah,
all of Texas.
just all of Texas.
But yeah. So like yeah, who knows? I mean, both of us have applied for 45 and 46. So we'll see if either one of us gets a call. I know they
Yeah.
film in May.
Yeah, I also hear like a lot of times people will submit it and not get a call back for like a year because there's just so many people. So even if you
Yeah.
submit for like 45, 46, you really might be submitting for 47, 48.
It really also depends on when you're doing it because a lot of people obviously put in tapes at the start of a season, which I
Yeah.
stupidly did.
Mhm.
I should have. The thing is, my Survivor audition tape and Big Brother audition tape, besides me mentioning about my familiarity with each show, were relatively the same.
Mhm.
except like a couple months apart.
Oh,
So I should have done it in July too. But yeah,
nice, nice. Yeah, yeah. We'll see. If one of us goes on, that would definitely boost the popularity of this podcast moving forward.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, hell, man, you got a Darman actor here.
Exactly.
Yeah, you've been like killing it when it comes to like making pilots and writing and stuff. So like, we doing stuff. We
We're,
doing
we're,
stuff.
we're we're doing it. We're doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So let's just get into then MVPs and LVPs, shall we?
yeah.
I will say I have no idea who to give an MVP title to today because I think there's just so much. Like I almost want to give it to
There
someone
wasn't a
who
clear
didn't
cut.
do a lot. Like I
There
I,
wasn't
I
a clear cut person
yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give.
LVP, we can either give it to Ellie or Gabler because Ellie did, I think, by how she handled the whole situation of Gabler throwing her name out, I think she gave everyone good reason to vote her out. And then Gabler, obviously, for being Gabler.
I don't think. I think Ellie was just a byproduct of Gablerisms.
Yeah.
I feel so bad if he
Yeah,
watches
well,
this. It's not.
she did what you never do on Survivor. What you should never do on Survivor is when you get caught doing anything, even if you don't fully think like, oh, I did this or whatever. You apologize. She
Yeah,
refused to apologize. She said she berated her teammates who she had to trust in this situation and told them to like go back over there and tell them you're wrong. Yeah, that
yeah.
is not what you do.
I'm gonna say I'm actually going to. It's very tempting to give it to Gabler. You know, I don't want to give it to Ryan because he did the Spider-Man thing, though
Yeah,
that's my was my original thought. I am gonna give it to Gabler because I feel like where does his game really go from here?
yeah,
Well, I mean, like he could be a final three kind of like goat,
yeah.
but we'll see.
He could be dragged to the end. It is very possible. Maybe he's a future Philip Shepard. He could
We
be
may.
he could be
He
the
does
Philip
give off
Shepard.
a little bit. He has the arm tattoos,
Yeah,
the eccentric, well, different kind of eccentric personalities.
yeah.
Smarter than what their personality may
Mhm.
lead on. My bad. Um, all right. So for MVP, just because he was given like he pretty much knows where all the advantages are in a sense.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
except for
give it to
Cody's.
Owen. What?
Except for Cody's, he
Except
didn't.
for Cody's
Yeah,
and
yeah,
but then again, it could have went through the grapevine to him because of Ellie and Janine, because if they were trying to beat Baka strong,
mhm.
because there was that thing. Uh, I don't know. I still feel like I'm just gonna give it to Owen. I feel like he had a good like brief edit, but
Yeah.
other than that, there's not really too much.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people. Like honestly, I'm giving it to Carla, because I think she's still in a great position here. I think because Coco didn't get anyone to go out, I think she's more in the driver's seat. Good on her to continue the challenge even with bloody hands. So I still
That's fair.
applaud that.
Yeah,
Definitely maybe one of the least earned MVPs that I'm dishing out here for in my opinion. But I just as I said, I think it was a fun episode, just not a lot of great gameplay.
no, that's. I mean, to be fair, Carla's gotten a bunch of like MVPs from us, so like,
Yeah.
what's one more?
Yeah, exactly. Get another one to her trophy count.
I'm pretty sure near the end of it, she'll probably get a few more. We'll see.
Yeah.
It all really depends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am gonna wrap this up because I do have to leave for work. For those of you who don't know, I hang up Christmas lights and I start that seasonal job today.
Nice.
It's my fourth year.
How high up is it?
That, higher than sometimes it's higher than Eric, going up that coconut tree saying, I just want food. Um, and we have ladders that are slightly better than the one Tony did to climb up the tree.
I'd hope. I would not advise anyone to go up with Tony's ladder.
There was a moment when we were taking down lights last year where I almost went through a window.
Well,
That's
Ryan,
for
be safe.
I'm making sure, like it was, trust me, I will. I'm like without getting too much. Basically, I'm like kind of like his most experienced like underling, basically. I mean, it's my fourth year and we're
Yeah.
using a bunch of new people. Anyway, me aside, any final words you want to say to the peeps watching?
No. I am interested in this season. I feel like we're not gonna get great gameplay from a lot of these people, but I think they're a lot of fun to watch, and I think there's a lot of fun, messy gameplay that can be still be seen. But we'll see. I'm hoping that like the maybe two or three people out there who are playing actually good gameplay get a shine more in the next episode.
I think it's going to be fun. At the end of the day, if I'm entertained, that's a plus for me.
Yeah.
But last thing I want to say is because we're going to, next time we see you will be in November. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Yes, yes. It's crazy. We're already almost done with October here in 2022.
I know. In fact, yeah, one of the Survivor episodes coming up will air on my B day. Um, it falls on a Wednesday this year.
Wow,
So,
that's pretty much what happened with mine too. I guess mine was the day after, which was literally for the podcast. But
yeah. Yeah, I mean, birthdays are fun that like that. Last
yeah.
time this happened was in Millennials versus Gen X because I remember watching it with friends in the college room. I am Ryan. This is the one time you can't be rambling. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Yeah. Happy Halloween. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.